Not very lengthy ago, I passed off to stay for a few weeks in a far-flung village known as Bear Mountains, placed in the Urals. In the village itself, there are solely about 24 dilapidated houses. How many inhabitants, I do no longer know. But anybody I met used to be old. My great-great-grandmother lived in one of the shacks there. She is greater than 90 years old. Her residence is an everyday timber hut, now not even painted. The kitchen backyard has been deserted for a lengthy time. There is an apple tree, onions and 2 tomato timber growing. There have been icons of all sizes on each and every nook of the house. Everywhere you look, there are these dead yellow faces, searching at the observer with sorrow and indifference. A few phrases about the village. This location is positioned in a lowland. On one facet of the mountain, and on all aspects lies a dense coniferous forest. There is a small swampy lake on the contrary facet of the mountains about a couple of kilometers from the village. In the morning, the village is foggy and dim. Anybody who lives in the Urals is aware of what a robust distinction between morning and evening. Since I used to be the solely younger man in the village, my free time, or rather, all the time, I spent my time strolling round the village and reading. My grandmother had nearly no books, besides for church literature. I was once joyful solely with the Science and Lifestyles journal my father had subscribed to, an e-book about the legends and myths of ancient Greece. The residence was once very darkish and there used to be no electrical energy at all, so I may want to solely study at some stage in the day and solely on the street. But it has its personal pitfalls, a massive variety of mosquitoes. At first they simply killed me, however then some way I acquired used to it. And in general, I received used to being definitely alone. Yes, this is actual loneliness, and now not the variety that town dwellers are used to speaking about. And all the humans round me are a half-charismatic grandmother and historic humans who crawl to their houses as quickly as they see me. People there are no longer well-mannered at all, and even when I attempt to simply say hello, they make a nasty ancient face and flip away. As a result, I went for a stroll in the woods with my magazine, climbed a mountain there, simply sat and read. Sometimes he talked to himself, so as no longer to go mad from his surroundings. But somehow, over time, I started to note that I was once starting to sleep poorly. No, I did not have any nightmares. I simply woke up in the center of the night, could not sleep for a lengthy time. There used to be constantly some type of indistinct tension, and solely at night. Throughout the day the whole thing was once eliminated by way of hand. I instructed my grandmother about this. She, in general, expectedly stated that this is due to the fact I do no longer put on a cross, demons, blah blah blah, I want to confess and so on down the list. She gave me a cross, she says, consecrated, and a little book, a prayer book. I nevertheless take into account the scent of the pages. This calmed me down a little. The psychological thing labored. In the absence of help, any assist will do. I tried to examine a prayer book, and I nearly broke my tongue, and it made me experience extraordinary. If you strive to examine it, you may recognize at once. Moreover, I could not study it for a lengthy time earlier than going to mattress. I did not choose to destroy my bad eyesight by studying it underneath a candle. For a couple of days it appeared to go away, and then it began all over again. So, I wake up once more in the center of the night, respiratory hard, no sleep, I do not soar out of bed, simply open my eyes. And I see something sitting on the ceiling above me in the corner. As it occurs in nightmares, my voice is long past and I can solely wheeze. I choose to scream, however I can't. I do not recognize how a good deal time passes, and I let go a little. I attempt to push it away with my hand, however it would not move. When I was once totally awake, I put on my glasses and regarded at it, and it turns out that it is simply soot. Yeah, properly done. I went and poured myself some water, stood for a while, smiled at myself, washed my face, and felt better. I go lower back to bed, and on the way I see the open door to my grandmother's bedroom. I went through the residence and observed her nowhere to be found. I went out into the courtyard and onto the street. I suppose perhaps she went to the bathroom. And then I see her in the garden. She walks slower back and forth, simply walking, as if searching for something, fingers clearing the grass. I stand for a moment, observing her with entire incomprehension. I choose to name out to my grandmother, however then she notices me herself. With uncharacteristic pace and agility for her, and certainly for the aged in general, she strikes towards me. I'm standing there. She comes closer, says, "Grandchild, you want to sleep, go to sleep." I say, "Bah, what are you doing here?" She does not reply me, simply tells me it is time to go to bed, and shoves me into the house. I go in, take a seat down on the bed, do no longer apprehend anything, in my soul I am uneasy. After half an hour, the door opens, and my grandmother goes to her room with her regular historical shuffling gait, stopping for a couple of seconds in the front of my room. I slept in her son's room. I wait for some time till she falls asleep, then I collect my few belongings, now not forgetting to take off my cross, put on my shoes, and go outside. Surprisingly, there is no fog. I stroll alongside a United States of America avenue for a number of hours, stroll to the highway, hitchhike to the nearest town, then take a bus to Sverdlovsk, then a teach home. The most fascinating section starts off evolved here. I'm going home, and I have the keys to my apartment. If my mom is on the doorstep, to say that she is amazed viaduct my look is to say nothing. She starts off evolved to cry, I do not recognize anything. A little later she calms down and tells me a brilliant story. He says I used to be lost, simply obtained up at night, packed my matters and left. I known as everyone my friends, the police, hospitals, morgues and brought all people on their feet. I inform her, "Mom, I went to see your grandmother, and you tried to persuade me to go to her, so I stayed with her." Mother makes spherical eyes and says, "They say you are crazy, this is entire nonsense, what are you doing? I do not have any great-great-grandmother, every person is lengthy dead." I have no words to express my feelings. I informed her all about the village and the trip. At first she notioned I was once mendacity, I was once in horrific corporation or something, however then she realized that I used to be telling the truth. At the equal time, family did now not hear about any great-great-grandmother at all, particularly in the Urals. My mom suggests that I go to a intellectual health center and be dealt with for a couple of months. I myself strongly oppose this, due to the fact I trust that I am in a healthful mind. I do not comprehend what to do, simply neglect this incident or attempt to discern it out. As I be mindful and suppose about it, I begin to fear again. I'll possibly have to go return to the village and kind it out, I do not like leaving matters unfinished.